What is up, guys? Kevin David here. In a recent video, we went over my 5 sources of income that generate over $382,000 every single month. And we had a ton of people message me on Instagram, on Facebook, all over the place, basically asking me, okay, Kevin, what are you actually spending that money on that you're earning every single month? And so as always, I'm a man of the people, and we're gonna be going over exactly what I'm spending that money on, and kind of a surprising thing to a lot of people, which is one of the reasons that I've been able to actually build these sources of income fastest. This number one philosophy or mentality that I kind of hold with money, and it's probably one of the single most important things that I can teach you if you really want to achieve financial freedom and wealth. So as always, guys, take your phone, find the nearest window, and chuck it out as hard as you can. Don't have any distractions, because this is gonna be a good one. Alright guys, so one very important thing that you need to understand, and this is pretty much the same with all people that I've met personally who do have real financial freedom and wealth and are able to do the things that they want. And what that thing is the amount you earn every month is not directly proportional to the amount you spend every month, right? So if I make $100,000 a month and I spend $10,000 a month, just because next month I make $200,000 per month, I don't have to spend $20,000 per month, right? I would probably still spend that same $10,000 per month, and that's just the same exact way that I am as well. The more I earn does not dictate the more I spend. They're not proportional at all. Generally, I spend about the same amount every single month, completely regardless of the amount of money that I actually earn, because of course it does fluctuate some depending on, how good or bad a certain month is with software or affiliate marketing, or if we're really working significantly more than we normally do. Another thing that I always try to do when it comes to budgeting is the things that I buy, I try to always make sure that I'm not losing money on those things. So a lot of people, see my car and they think to themselves, oh my gosh, that must be so expensive. You must be losing so much money when you actually go out and purchase a car like that. But the truth is, when I purchased my car, I actually went to a person who specializes in exotic cars, and I made sure that that car, I'd be able to sell it for the exact same price that I bought it for a year later or even 2 years later. And that's because the specific make and model of the car that I liked was already fully depreciated, meaning that I'll actually probably make a $4,000 or $5,000 profit when I sell that car, even though I've kept it and driven it for over a year. And aside from a very small subset of things like houses, cars, traveling, and food, I really don't spend much money on anything ridiculous. I'm not going out and buying Louis Vuitton or Gucci or Tag Heuers or Rolexes or anything like that. I'm generally very frugal when it comes to money. The only thing that I am very comfortable spending money on is experiences, right? Because the point of money is to make you happy, and the way that you get happy from money is not directly from the money. It's from the experiences that the money gives you. So when it comes to traveling or going out to eat or doing fun things like bungee jumping or skydiving or flying to Vegas or just doing things that I enjoy doing, I'm not frugal at all, because that is the point of money. And if you actually go out and work your butt off and actually become rich or financially free, and you're still afraid to actually spend money doing the things that you want, then what's the point of working so hard and making all that money? You guys can see that I wear basic shirts, and I pretty much wear the same shirt every day and the same pair of Nike athletic shorts every day. So I don't go out and buy a bunch of clothing or things that I don't need. I just have the basic necessities, and I spend money on things that actually make me happy, like experiences. And so it's probably pretty easy to figure out my philosophy when it comes to earning money and spending money. The more I earn does not directly translate to the more I spend. And I think your mentality when it comes to frugality and expenses and how you kind of go about thinking about money and treating money is really formed in high school. And I remember hearing Bill Gates say this when somebody asked him, how much he usually spends on food and groceries and all of the things that normal people actually spend money on. And he said that he doesn't spend a bunch of money like on crazy stuff or anything like that. He said that your spending habits are actually formed in high school. And I completely agree with that, because in high school, I was always thrifty, and I was always, working on side projects and side hustles, and I was always saving all of that money that I was making from, the little projects and things that I was doing, just so that when something came up or an experience or people were traveling or going on vacation, I had enough money to actually do the things that I wanted to do. And so with all that said, you came here to see exactly what I'm spending my money on, and so let's get into it. The first thing that we're gonna talk about is insurance, and I've kind of lumped this all together because of course there's health insurance, car insurance, motorcycle insurance, house insurance, rental insurance. And when you have, multiple houses and rentals and cars and things like that, and you obviously need health insurance as well, especially as an entrepreneur, it's not included, in your corporate salary, that can really start to add up. And so when I was actually going out looking for my insurance, I did a lot of homework, and I talked to a lot of my entrepreneur friends, and I asked around, for referrals when it came to an insurance agent. And of course, I got multiple different quotes for all of the different things that I actually needed. And then I found, what I felt was the best amount of coverage for the best price. And I went in. And so for insurance, we spent about $1,500 every single month, kind of for everything. And that can fluctuate, of course, as we add new vehicles and houses and things like that. But as I said, it's very important to have insurance just for the peace of mind that it gives you, right? If your house were to burn down tomorrow, or you had a heart attack or something devastating happen from a health perspective, you want to make sure that you're not going to have some catastrophic event come over and completely bankrupt you, with some health issue, or lose everything in your house and kind of be SOL. And so insurance is very important. I know it does kind of seem like a waste oftentimes, especially for young and healthy people, like me and maybe like you as well. When you're not really ever even using the insurance, you never get in any car accidents, nothing generally ever happens to your house, knock on wood. But it's still important to actually have that safety net in case anything actually were to happen. The next expense that we are going to lump together is what I like to call the essentials. Now, this includes things like internet, your phone service, utilities for your housing and things like that. And so I lumped it all together because if we went through every single one individually, it would just literally get ridiculous. And so for these, we spend about $500 per month, most of which actually comes from the utilities of the places that I live and actually, spend time in and sleep at, like my house and rental properties and things like that. And lumped in with essentials, I'm also including the gym, which I pay $29 a month for 24-hour fitness. And this is the best possible use of money that you could ever spend, right? Because the gym gives you energy, it gives you endorphins, it makes you feel good. It, adds everything to my life. Without the gym and without exercise, I would turn into a complete anxious mess. And so if you're thinking to yourself, man, Kevin, I just can't afford the gym. Trust me when I tell you, you can't afford not going to the gym. And I'm not saying it's impossible to work out outside or, do things like that, but you have to integrate exercise into your life. I see messages from people all the time saying, Kevin, I'm depressed. I don't have any skills. Where should I start? What should I do? Right? And the thing that I tell people every single time is if you're feeling sad, right, which everyone feels, I feel it too. I feel depressed. I feel sad at times, just like everyone, right? I'm no different. We're all humans. We're all the same, and we all feel the same things. When you're feeling sad or depressed or anxious, the number one thing that I could possibly recommend you to do is just walk out your front door, even though you don't feel like it, and just go for a jog, right? Even if you've never done it before, even if it's just one block and then back, right? Even if it's 100 feet. Go for a jog until you're out of breath, and I promise you, you're gonna feel a tiny bit better. And then what you're gonna be able to do is recognize that better feeling and feeling better and not feeling depressed and having more energy with exercise. And then you're gonna actually start prioritizing exercise into your daily life, and it's gonna give you more energy, and it just has infinite actual rewards, integrating, exercise and things like that into your life. The next expense that we're gonna talk about is eating and going out, right? And this is an expense that is much higher for me than I'm sure it is for most people because I don't cook, right? I'm not the type of person to go and spend a couple of hours actually whipping up a fresh meal. I love it when other people cook, but it's just not something that I actually enjoy doing. It doesn't feel like the best use of time to me. And so pretty much every meal that I eat, I actually eat at restaurants. And that's not to say that I never actually order groceries or anything like that because that's not true. Every morning I actually make a protein shake and I have a smoothie and things like that. I always have fresh fruit at my house. I always have protein bars and things like that. But I'm just not the type of person to actually go and cook some big meal and, get my Bobby Flay on. And so a reasonable budget that I like to give myself, to go out to eat, to take friends out to eat. I always try to, pay for food for my friends and things like that, just because I enjoy doing it. I give myself, $2,000, even to $2,500 every single month, just going out to eat, having drinks with friends, enjoying time together and things like that. And that might be much, much higher than what a lot of other people have. But this is one area that I talked about before that I actually enjoy, right? Food is a huge part of our lives. I enjoy eating. I love actually going to new restaurants, trying new places, going to little nook places that nobody's ever heard of but have great ratings on Yelp or whatever. It's just a fun activity for me. It's something that I enjoy doing, going out to eat with friends. And so I actually do spend a little bit more than maybe what you might call being frugal on this particular expense category. But again, if you are working hard and if you are making a significant amount of money, you have to decide what's important to you, what you actually enjoy doing. And if it means you spend a little bit more than the average person on that specific category, it's okay, right? Because you worked for it. The next expense that we're gonna talk about actually is housing/rent, because I both own a house and I also rent a house. And for this particular category, we budget $10,000 every single month, actually when it comes down to mortgage expenses and rental expenses. And again, that might be higher than the average person, but when you're actually comparing monthly income to rent, it's actually relatively low, right? Less than a single day of our actual income goes to rent. A general rule of thumb is that you should spend 30% or less of your monthly income on rent. And like I said before, we're spending less than 3% of our monthly income on rent, which means that even though it might seem high, it's actually relatively low when you look at percentage of monthly income, right? So as long as you're, generally under 30 to even 50% on the high end, if you live in a place like San Francisco or, New York or something like that, then that's okay, as long as you're actually saving a large percentage of the money that you're not actually spending on rent. The next expense that we're gonna talk about is software and subscriptions, right? So once a month, I actually have my team of accountants look at all of the different monthly expenses that we're paying to different software services, to Netflix, to all the things like that. And we actually review a long list of rows of our monthly expenses and decide what we want to keep and what we want to get rid of. And again, this probably is going to seem a little bit higher than what some people are actually used to, but when it comes to a percentage of our actual monthly income, and the amount of automation that it allows us to have, it's incredibly worth it to us to spend on these things. And now this is going to include things like ActiveCampaign, ManyChat, Zapier, all of the different software services that we use in my digital product businesses, in my physical product businesses, in all assets of my business. Because to me, every single time, I would rather pay more for something that I can automate than something that I would have to train an employee for. Because the thing is, right, employees are very unpredictable when it comes to comparing them to something like Zapier or ActiveCampaign, something that's just gonna work and operate and always do the same thing efficiently in the background, right? And that's not to say that I don't love my employees, but it is to say that, generally training employees and introducing more employees into your life is what actually causes more headache and more stress. And so my advice to you would be, if you actually can automate something, even if it seems like it costs a little bit more, you'll generally save more money in the end versus paying the salary of another employee and having to deal with, hiring people, training people, and doing all of that. Because even though it might seem cheaper in the short run, I would always argue that creating automation is what actually allows you to have more time freedom in your life. And so for all of my monthly subscriptions that we actually use every single month for software services and things like that, we allocate $2,500 every single month. For that, the bulk of that expense actually comes down to ActiveCampaign, Zapier, ClickFunnels, and ManyChat, but we do have other subscription services that we actually use. And one of the cool things is many of those subscription services that we did use, we've actually created Marketer Magic. I originally created it for my students, but we've actually released it into the public as well for people to check out. So if you're a digital marketer or you make money online, or you're interested in making money online, marketermagic.com is one of the best things that I could possibly introduce to you. We use it across all my businesses. We use it for social proof pop-ups. We use it in my email marketing to have little images that actually show people's real names on whiteboards. We use it to track time for all of my virtual assistants with WorkHub. We use it for ManyLeads to find new profitable leads for our social media marketing businesses. We use it in every facet of my business. And before we actually had Marketer Magic, we were trying to piece together all of these little tools that didn't have good support, or they weren't adding new features to it, or it only worked part of the time. And so instead of paying for all of these services, I decided to just make them all myself and put it into one beautiful, easy to use tool that just really makes things so much easier for digital marketers and people who have online businesses. And then one of my largest monthly expenses actually comes down to salaries. And I've always felt that you can find incredibly smart people in other countries and get an amazing quality of work, generally for significantly cheaper than if you were to hire that same type of person, inside of the USA or the UK or Canada or Australia or something like that. And so 90% of my workforce is actually based in either the Philippines or Bangalore or places like that. But I do actually have only one full-time employee, now two full-time employees inside of the USA. And I generally do that because you can find an incredibly high caliber of person in places like the Philippines, in places like India, and things like that. And they're generally willing to work, 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, the same, schedule that sometimes I'm working myself. And they're willing to do that for, 25% the cost of somebody doing a similar level or even a worse level of work inside of the USA. And so, now that the world has changed, now that the internet exists, now that it's a global economy, one of the things that I recommend most to people out there, especially as you start to grow a larger and larger business, is think about outsourcing. Don't think that, people in the Philippines are dumber than people in the USA or things like that. That's just the farthest thing from the truth. I found incredible people to work with in the Philippines. I found incredible people to work with in the USA, in Canada, in Australia. But especially as you're growing your business, look to outsource things at the beginning so you can save expenses there. And then once you start to make more and more money with your business, you can decide whether or not you want to continue outsourcing people, or if you need to hire some people in the USA, or you can do what I do and have some of both, right? Some people in the Philippines, some people in India, some people in the United States, some people in the UK. And now we've actually have people pretty much all over the world helping us out with all of the different things that we're doing with software, with affiliate marketing, with YouTube, with our physical products, with our, e-commerce brands, with everything. And so all of that completely combined together generally equates to about $33,000 every single month for salaries, but it's probably the single best use of our monthly income because it allows me to have more free time to do the things that I want to do and not constantly be working 100% of the time, right? One of the biggest problems that I see entrepreneurs experience all the time is wanting to do everything themselves and never outsourcing anything. But if you want to grow a large business, you have to learn to delegate. You have to learn to trust other people. You have to learn to let other people handle some of the work, or else you're going to drive yourself crazy, you're going to burn yourself out, or you're going to significantly limit the potential growth of your company. And so I really try to live my life the same way I lived it when I was making $4,000, $5,000 a month working as an accountant, right? And I might have a little bit more expenses than I used to have when it comes to salaries, when it comes to housing payments, when it comes to, subscription services to software and things like that. But outside those basic necessities that are required to actually run my business and generate the income that we are generating, I live my life very frugally. I live my life wearing the same basic shirts, the same basic shorts every single day. If you talk to my friends and family, they would probably, for the most part, have absolutely no idea that I'm a millionaire. They would probably think that I'm just some random bum off the street. And that's okay, right? I don't want to live my life, looking super luxurious, walking around with Gucci and, iced out chains or anything like that. I'm just a normal everyday guy who happened to, figure out some pretty cool ways to make money on the internet. And that's generally the way that I like to live my life, frugally, saving a lot of money just in case anything ever happens, and just really living my life the same way that I lived it when I was in high school. And so to answer the question that I know I'm gonna get asked a bunch down below in the comments is, Kevin, do you need money to be happy, right? I had actually somebody DM me the other day and they said, Kevin, you have all that money, why are you not at peace, right? And I remember reading that and kind of laughing because first of all, I am very happy, I am at peace, but I get all these types of questions every single day about the same things. And so the real answer is you don't need money to be happy. What makes me happy is having the freedom to sleep in till 10 o'clock in the morning, the freedom to go out and stay out with friends as late as I want without having to think about waking up at 6:30 in the morning and driving an hour and a half to work like I used to. What makes me happy is having the freedom to choose to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And beyond that, money really isn't that important. Once you have enough money to cover your basic necessities, money is no longer very entertaining, I promise you. And if you're just starting out, you might be thinking, Kevin, no, if I had more money, everything would be perfect, right? But I promise you, unless you have happiness that actually comes from within, from exercising, from traveling, from listening to music, spending time with friends and family, going out and enjoying an amazing meal at a new restaurant, unless you find happiness from those things, I promise you, money is not going to make any sort of difference, because once you have a baseline amount of money, enough money to actually cover your expenses and live happily and healthily, money is no longer something that brings any additional happiness into your life except for the experiences that it allows you to have. But with that being said, I don't want to give the idea that money means nothing, right? I'm not the type of person to say, oh, you could go live a happy and healthy life hugging trees and living off of crystals with $0 coming in your bank account, right? Because that's not the truth. Everyone needs a certain amount of money to cover their expenses, to eat, to have a shelter, right? To have a cell phone or access to the internet. And unless you have those things, it's very difficult to actually have a happy, free life. And so I'm not saying that you don't need any money. I'm just saying that once you have enough money, money doesn't make you any additionally happier once you have the basic necessities and basic freedoms. And so if you're not to that point yet and you're looking to make more money, then check out this video right here where I show you how to make $1,000 every single week, even if you have no job. I promise you guys are gonna like it. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you there. Hey yo, what is up, ninjas? If you want to learn how to make $1,000 per week with no job and even better yet, zero money to start, you're gonna want to stay tuned. It's gonna be